sights on the city. Come on a Durham walk with me today. So I'm walking down this alley here between 9th Street and Iredell. It's a beautiful walk for me. I love the shade, especially when it's hot in the summer. My house is just up the block. We really only stopped at the end. You saw my neighbor's garden maybe in Josh's pickup shots, but here's another garden that somebody planted, and I just want to talk for a sec about how Durham has such a gardening movement. You know, I think one of the things that war in Iraq brought back was this idea of the victory garden. The recession brought us to this point where it's like we're doing so many DIY things. We said to ourselves, shouldn't we be making our own food? It's part of the whole way that we DIY things and get closer. I've even known a couple Durham brides who have like grown their own wedding flowers. But on my walk to work, I see a lot of that happening in Durham. I see a lot of people finding a way to garden. This is no super fancy formal thing here, but it looks cool. My neighbors are the same way. It looks like, you know, they've resourced what they can and adopted that reduce, reuse, recycle, scrap exchange Durham mentality and applied it to their garden. And I think maybe we'll even see that a few more places on our walk. Durham, so just to avoid the man, we didn't want to go stepping on anybody's toes at the construction site. I usually turn left at Green Street down there, but we wanted to show you this massive building here that fronts on 9th Street and fronts on Iredell and is sharply juxtaposed with the cute little street Iredell here and the tiny little houses across the street from it. And I believe it's just going to be another set of Durham condos. It butts right up against Elmo's as well. So I don't know, the Biscuit King was never open when I was here. I've seen a beautiful painting of what the Biscuit King looked like, and I've seen the Biscuit King closed juxtaposed with White Star Laundry there, but this building just looks out of character for the neighborhood for me. It looks like all the things Chapel Hill did wrong on Franklin Street and Rosemary. Hey, so we're standing on the corner of Green and Watch Street. I took Josh across the long Green Street corridor that I walk, sort of north of Duke's East Campus and south of Walltown. I love Walltown, and on my walk home I sometimes stair-step my way through there. We picked this corner because it's one of those spots where people look at Trinity Park and think, wow, it's unbelievable, it's amazing, it's gorgeous. That, by the way, is my synagogue over there, Bethel. And I don't know, I think that there's a lot of ways to look at Trinity Park, and even within some of those Durham neighborhoods, we're gonna try and show you how it isn't totally uniform. So, Josh, I'm gonna go down Green Street here, and maybe we'll come back in and up and around some more of these middle streets just to show the people what we've got. Cool, so welcome. I've made Josh walk up and down some of these Trinity Park streets with me. We walked down Urban, which is one of my faves. Some great personal memories of the Indie Weekly over there for me. Now we're on Dacian, and Dacian has some amazing like houses on the historic register with unbelievably beautiful gardens on the other side. We'll walk back through that again to look at it. But also, I just want to highlight, it has some really, really modest housing. And I think that's some of what makes, you know, Durham what it is that almost anywhere that we have really nice, people used to joke, you know, you're 5 minutes from the ghetto anywhere in Durham. But I think really that's less of a punchline and more about our diversity. And Josh and I were talking off camera about how it's really important to maintain that cost diversity, that it's still possible to rent for reasonable prices in Durham, you know, for all kinds of different parts of our population, for people who have a whole variety of different jobs. It needs not to be that the entry point is, you know, $1,500 one-bedroom apartments like so many of what we've seen built lately. We were standing over there on the corner of Iredell and Green looking at those apartments, and there's going to be 230 more units there, and I don't know what their price point's going to be, but I bet these are a lot more reasonable. And I think on some level, you know, it's really important that we have that conversation in Durham about what the cost of housing is and what the cost of housing will be in our future. So we're making the final turn towards Mercury Studio here. I took Josh down Green Street. I walk down Green to Washington usually, past the Ellerby Creek Trail, which when you're walking recreationally, we all know is one of the beautiful parts of Durham. And I guess maybe that's the thing I want to extol at this stop, is just the virtues of walking generally. I know Kierkegaard said there's no problem I cannot walk away from, by which he meant there's no walk he couldn't take to think through something really hard. And I think there's just such value in the microcosm, in the observation you get to do while walking. I know Justin talked about this some last week, but for me, when I'm walking and I can observe the detail at what's going on, of people's lives and houses and gardens and spaces, it's just so much more human than when you're driving by something. I mean, at the rate that that person's driving at 30 miles an hour, you're whipping by the details. You can't see any of them, let alone think about driving on a highway or a one-lane rural road at 65 or 70 and the level at which the detail is just airbrushed out. And I don't know, I think that's some of what's changed in our lives over the last 50, 70, 100 years, is the way in which we treat each other because we rush through things. And I think on some level, walking is a metaphor for that, to see things more slowly and more closely. I know friend of the Clarion content, Sarah Getz, who's now out at Ohio State, has done some filming of her walking and the microcosmos observed by walking. And I don't know, I just think there's something to it. Welcome back, Durham. So we're now really getting to that part of the city where a lot of people walk. Pick up on that walking theme from the last clip, you know. Even to compare walking and driving in terms of what you hear, you just are so much more aware of your senses when you're walking. And this is one of the most walkable parts of town. Everybody walks in the DIY district. You can see Man Bites Dog down there, and King's terrific burgers and fries, and Cocoa Cinnamon on the other side of the street. And we're almost at my office now, Gear Street Garden. You know, I get to walk by all of these fabulous DIY businesses, and it is a dangerous mix even here with the walking and the driving. You know, I see a lot of people whipping up and down Foster Street or cutting across Gear really quickly, or people with bikes, you know, and all the time, as much as I love and extol the virtues of walking, if you remember when we were sitting back over at Heavenly Buffaloes months and months ago, Chris and I talking about the dangers of mixing pedestrians and aggressive bikers and drivers together. So I think it's something as a community in Durham we all have to be especially aware of. so here we are at Mercury Studio, the end of my walk in the heart of the DIY district. It's an amazing place. You can watch their video, which is on our site if you want to see it. But it's a great place to co-work. I love the whole idea of co-working. The Clarion Content's office has been in Mercury Studio since pretty much when they opened. I was doing a cafe membership at that point, which is like a service membership, and it's been a really great space. We've grown with it, and it's grown with the DIY district. I know we hear a lot of people talking about how this neighborhood is going to change and there's going to be condos, and certainly when you look at the crane in the background, you know, there are going to be condos at Liberty, and now there's going to be condos at 539 Muse, and will Motor Co. be here? Will Kings be here? Will Coco Cinnamon be here? Will Gear Street Garden be here? I think it's kind of up to us as a city, Durham, you know, and that's, I guess, where I'd end this, is that there's a lot of change in Durham, and change is normal. Change is part of a process that happens to all of us, the city, just like it happens to all of us. But like you have some control over the change in your own life, you have some control over the change in your city. And we hope to participate in that with you. I know we saw some really poignant stuff last week with Justin Laidlaw, Buddy Rusky. If you haven't seen that video, you should definitely go back and look at his walk to work and his walk to NC Central, and ask yourself, you know, my walk is just about as far from 9th Street to this DIY district as his walk is from NC Central and Fayetteville to American Underground. And what do we as Durham, as a city, as we develop and change going forward, want to see happen in these corridors, in these places? And the small changes are what build up to the large changes, and we all kind of participate in them together. So thanks for following me on my walk. Check us out at the Clarion Content. Follow our YouTube channel, our Clarion Content Media. We curate your city, Durham.
I've seen some people working on it, but it's been empty pretty much since the time we've been here. And then down this strip is the Fayetteville corridor where I walk to work. It's about two and a half blocks before you hit the communications building where I have all my classes. So we're going to take a trip down there, and I'll show you some more of the walk down there.